Alright, so the car is all clean. Hopefully I didn't just damage that file by pulling the battery out of my camera while it was recording, but we're going to go ahead and mix up our first coat of paint here. So basically, what you're going to see here is white. I'm not painting the car white. So, yeah. When it gets to color time, we're probably going to go black and white until the end, just to, you know, have some kind of dramatic reveal. But, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and mix it up. We're going to pour it in with a filter. We're going to hook it up, turn it on, and start spraying. So we're going to be, the first coat's going to be like a light coat, 50% coverage. We're going to be keeping the gun 5 to 7 inches away from the car. We're going to set up our spray to spray about a 5 to 7 inch fan, 7-inch fan. Then we're going to keep the gun 5 to 7 inches away from the car. And the first coat's going to be a nice light coat with 50% overlap. And then the second coat will be a full color coat. All right. First coat's done. Like I said, 50% coverage, which I think we nailed about perfect. You can still see the black and the white through the paint. The next coat will be thicker, and it should cover the color 100%. The front bumper is tricky. The back bumper is also tricky. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that goes as we go along here. But the coverage is pretty even. I think I had a pretty good spray pattern on the car, so I got a good idea of how to spray the car. I'm going to look around now for any spots that I obviously like 100% missed paint on, so that we can get those covered. And, you know, I'll see you guys for the next coat. Well, second coat's on, and I started off applying the product too thick, so I got some runs. So I'm going to see if I can fix those somehow, and you know, I'll get back to you for the third coat. So what I did was I went ahead and just took some paint thinner and kind of thinned out the bigger runs. There's still some runs, but you can't really feel them, so I think that by the time we add our next 3 layers of Plasti Dip, they're going to disappear. So I'm going to keep going and hope it turns out okay. Third coat. That's probably it for this video. We got everything plasti dipped. I know we have some problem spots. We're going to address those in the next video. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. So before I give you a color reveal on the 300, we're going to go ahead and get most of it put back together, or pretty much all of it put back together. So let's get that done, and then we'll do a little montage, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, I got the car all put back together, so let's go ahead and show you what it looks like. So first of all, I love the color. Gray is something I planned on doing. I actually did a test spray with this gray on the grill of my truck, and it was really light. But what I did was I ended up getting some flake to put in it, some sapphire flake off DIY or dipyourcar.com, and I mixed that in, and it made it a little bit grayer. You can kind of see like a little sheen on it compared to, obviously, looking at just the gray, you don't really see it, but compared to what I saw before, it's definitely darker and it's got a little bit of sheen to it, which is awesome. Let's start with some of the not so bad. So, I mean, overall, it turned out pretty good. I'd say 80% of it is in great shape and looks awesome. I definitely had some problem spots, so let's go ahead and go over those, and then we'll decide what we're going to do, if we're going to fix them, when we're going to fix them, and so on. So, first of all, I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up on camera. You can kind of see it, but the hood didn't turn out great. I don't know exactly what the issue was with that. I was definitely, especially my last coat, my last two coats with the gray, went on really thick and really beautifully, and it was all one wet coat, but for some reason it didn't quite dry right. You can tell it's looks like almost a different color in some spots, and there's definitely some pretty bad texture up here. So, but not the end of the world. Same thing with the nose panel. You can see it's a little bit of a different color here. I think it might have been, I don't know, maybe a mixing issue, or like I said, a wet coat spraying issue. I'm not really sure about that. Not too bad on that. Some of the bigger issues, so when I sprayed the second coat, I got some drips. And I didn't do a whole lot to fix them. I kind of tried to fix the thicker ones and just kind of gave up, but obviously they translated. So you can see some drip here, some drip here, mostly on the back here. There's a little bit down here. It's not too noticeable. I mean, it's a good, 5-foot paint job. You don't really see them from, say this far back. So not the end of the world again. Some bigger problem spots I have is, for some reason, right here. Now, I'd like to go back in my footage and see. I'm sure I cleaned this area, but the rest of the door is stuck at this spot. I was kind of worried about whether or not it was going to stick to this trim and this piece here. But for some reason, right here, on both sides, which is the strangest thing, it didn't stick in this corner. So I have like a bubble right here. So we're gonna definitely have to try to fix that, or else rain's gonna get behind the dip and it's basically just gonna ruin it right away. Other problem spot, and this is kind of a big one, is these door handles. So a lot of times the dip peels from here, but as you can see, the dip is peeling on mine up here already, and it's because when you open this handle, it's so close that it just scrapes this plastic dip. Like, you literally just can't have anything there. So we're gonna have to, at some point in time, take these door handles off, and maybe we're just gonna paint those black and just call it a day, and then just not plastic dip them. So other than that, I think everything else turned out pretty good. I don't have the bumper strapped on all the way right now because I didn't want to squeeze those two edges together just yet. There was a little spot when I took the T-tops off. The T-tops were stuck, so we got this little piece here that kind of peeled a little bit when I pulled them off. So we'll just take some paint thinner and kind of fix those up. The only other issue that I had that I'm not really too worried about, and it's not really that noticeable, you can see some of the white plasti dip on these edges. So, you know, for when you're doing this on your time, make sure that you use a base coat that's similar to your final coat or something that they recommend. I think that this kit was actually supposed to be sprayed the other way. The gray was supposed to be the base coat and the white was supposed to be the top coat, but you know, it's whatever. I used it how I used it. The only other issue that I had was right here. So you can see it kind of peeled off a little bit right here on the edge when we taped it, but this edge was really hard. I knew this one was going to be tricky. So we're going to go ahead and try to fix that up a little bit too. Couple little issue areas. I mean, for the most part, the car sprayed excellent though. I mean, for my first time doing this, I mean, I've plasti dipped some stuff before, but mostly wheels, grills, emblems, little things that I did with cans. I've never used a big spray gun for dip. I've never sprayed an entire car. So this is 100% totally amateur, no experience, first time ever doing this. And I mean, honestly, I think it turned out pretty good. And considering what the car looked like before, it's definitely a major improvement regardless of how good the plasti dip looks. So overall, I'm very happy and I think it's awesome. So what we're gonna do is, I am gonna try to touch up some of these, and then obviously I'm gonna use some techniques so that other people that watch this video can use them, whether they work or not, to maybe fix their plasti dip. My biggest problem with this is, like I said, this was not a standard color, so I can't just go buy some more of it in a can. I mixed flakes in it. I mixed flakes in a gunmetal gray, so it's not ever going to match any color that you can buy in a can. So we're gonna have to try to fix these. I do have a tiny bit of paint left, but really not even enough to put in a spray gun. I could if I really need to, especially to fix like this bubble area. If we really need to, we could probably spray a couple more coats on there on each side. But what I'm thinking about actually doing is, we're gonna fix some of the things that we can so that the plasti dip doesn't continue to peel. And then maybe in a few weeks or down the road, when I recover from this very strenuous experience, we're going to probably sand down the drips and stuff like that and just put an entire coat on. So I'm actually done for today, but tomorrow we're gonna pick it back up here and we're gonna go ahead and see what we can do about fixing some of these repairs. All right, so basically what we're gonna do here is we're gonna clean the area. We're gonna mask off underneath so we don't get any drips of the thinner down the side of our car. And we're basically gonna be dabbing some thinner onto this area to try to get it stuck back down to the car. So that's basically the idea. All right, so it's definitely re-sticking. What I ran into was I basically made a little bit of a bubble underneath of another bubble. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I got a fresh razor blade here and I'm actually wiping the oil off of it, because I don't know if you guys know, but razor blades have oil on them. So we're gonna go ahead and clean that off. And then what I'm gonna do is, just gonna try to hit some of these little bubbles here and just kind of break them. That way the thinner can go in here. All right, so I think that's about as good as we're gonna get with that. So as you can see, I rubbed through to some of the white spots, so we're gonna go ahead and do one more little thing to see if we can fix that up. All right, so eventually we're gonna be respraying this car. So for right now, I just want to make it presentable. So what I'm gonna do is, I have some of my paint here on a Q-tip. I think that's about as good as it's gonna get. Does it look better? I don't know exactly. But hey, at least there isn't a bubble there. So let's go ahead and do the other side. So this side turned out pretty good. Maybe a little bit better than the other side, but you know, still not as good as it should have been. But next spot we're gonna work on is up here, and I think it's going to be an easy fix. Sorry, messing with my tripod. So hopefully you guys can see. So we're going to try to get this little edge right here. Basically, we're just going to use the same principle. We're going to dab some paint on there. I'm going to go around and just hit a couple more spots that have some overspray. Alright, so there is my quick repair job. A little bit of Plasti Dip up there. These edges don't really look much... they look okay. At least no water's going to get behind them. Let's go check the other side. This side looks okay too. So the thinner definitely discolored the Plasti Dip, so ideally I'd like to spray that little section again, at least so the color matches. I do have a little bit of paint left, so we may end up doing that. But what I'll do is first is I want to wait and make sure that nothing else peels. So I was thinking too, not so much the fact that I didn't clean that spot right there, but there actually, maybe there was some moisture trapped underneath the gasket. I washed my car the day before. A lot of people say at least a day or two. So next time before we do it, I'll probably wash it, let it sit in the sun. The problem is, obviously, it's really moist in the morning. So, you know, unless your car's inside in a climate-controlled area, there's not really much you can do about that. All right, so there's all our Plasti Dip repairs. The last thing I'm going to do in this video is apply some spray-on wax. So I opted not to get the dip coat because, first of all, it's extremely expensive, and second of all, I kind of forgot. So what I got was Turtle Wax Ice Wax. It's just spray-on wax. I read a lot of people use this because it's cheaper. This bottle is about $8. The dip your coat's like 30-some dollars. So yeah, you know, but we're gonna give this a shot and see what happens. So I already tested it on an inconspicuous spot on the bottom of my car, so I know it's not gonna ruin the Plasti Dip or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the car with it, and then I'll let you know how it goes. So we got the wax completely on. Unfortunately, it didn't really help too much with the look. As you can see, the hood still looks like, you know, you still got some texture and stuff like that. But the areas that were smooth definitely look a little bit better and a little bit darker. But I'll tell you what the huge difference is for me. The feel. I mean, this feels so smooth now. There's no that, like, those of you that obviously have sprayed Plasti Dip before know that sometimes when you run your hand across, especially fresh PLASTI dip, it kind of like, it feels grippy, like almost like rubber. This is like completely smooth now. Like, it feels amazing. So I'm much more confident about people touching the car now, obviously, and then hopefully that's supposed to provide sort of a UV protection and stuff like that. The car definitely looks a little bit better now. Paint looks a little bit darker, or PLASTI dip looks a little bit darker, so I'm definitely happy with that. So let's talk real quick about what I think about PLASTI dip. First of all, it's an amazing product. You guys saw the car before, you see the car now. I mean, it's a major improvement. Yes, it's not permanent, it's not as shiny or as nice as an OEM or even an aftermarket paint job, but for the money I paid to do this, well worth it. I mean, even with buying the gun and stuff like that and all the materials, the filters, the paint. Now, I got a little bit of a deal on the paint because I bought it from somebody else, but I mean, I'm sub $500 for this paint. Just to buy the paint to paint this car would have costed me about $800, and that was like cheap paint. So for the money, it's a beautiful project. If I were just buying paint and you had the gun already, it would be sub $300, closer to $200 for this color. So for the money, you can't beat it. It definitely makes a S-Box car look a whole lot better, so I'm super happy. And once we can wash it in about 2 weeks and we can wash these rims and put some tire shine and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it's going to look even better. So, you know, I'm super excited about that. We obviously still have some cleanup to do. Windows and stuff like that have a little bit of overspray on them from spraying the primer before I PLASTI dipped. So, you know, we'll get all that cleaned up when we can wash the car. The PLASTI dip itself, great product. Is it easier to apply than paint? Yes and no. You still kind of have the same issues you have to worry about as far as drips and imperfections and stuff like that. But and you still have to tape the whole car and everything like that, but it is a little bit easier and a little bit more manageable than spraying paint. So for that, good. As far as the actual application of the product, just watch a lot of videos, use this video to kind of correct the mistakes that I made, and I'm sure our next PLASTI dip job is going to be almost perfect. So I'm super excited to do it again, whether it'll be this car or the Datsun truck, I don't know yet. I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys like the car, and we got some more work coming on this. We're going to do some interior stuff. We're also going to put that amplifier in on my radio that I've had in my shed for, you know, a year and a half now. So we're going to be doing a lot more work to the inside, getting it all cleaned up really nice, and fixing some of our other minor issues. So, you know, stay tuned on the 300. We'll throw some drifting in here somewhere eventually. It's about to rain, so probably not today. But, yeah, stay tuned. And like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you all for watching, and thank you all for your support. I'll see you next time.